In the year 476, the final emperor of the Western Roman Empire, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by Odoacer, a Germanic chieftain leading mercenaries and allied peoples who were integrated into the Roman army itself. This date is symbolically seen as the moment the Western Roman Empire finally fell. But what became of the last Roman soldiers after this event? That is precisely what we will explore in this video. First and foremost, it is crucial to understand that in the 5th century, the Roman army was no longer the same force from its golden age. The legions, once composed of Roman citizens, were gradually replaced by units made up mostly of mercenaries and allied barbarian groups, known as the Foederati. These groups not only fought on behalf of Rome but also maintained their own leaders and customs. The Roman historian Ammianus Marcellinus, a contemporary of that era, noted that the army had become more foreign than Roman. He emphasized that the soldiers fighting in the legions often did not even speak Latin, nor did they have any connection to Roman heritage. The constant need to defend against invasions from Vandals, Alemanni, Huns, and others forced the empire to accept this fundamental change. Furthermore, the classic structure of the legions gave way to more flexible and mobile forces, like the comitatenses units. These troops could be rapidly deployed to address threats, both internal and external, but they never fully matched the power of the traditional legions. Along the frontiers, troops known as the Limitanii were tasked with local defense. However, their resources became increasingly scarce, leaving the border regions fragile and dependent on the swift intervention of the comitatenses. The growing influence of barbarian leaders within the Roman military also signaled the end of traditional Roman authority. Stilicho, a Vandal general who commanded Roman forces for many years at the end of the 4th century, serves as a prominent example of this new reality. His power became so immense that he effectively governed in the name of the young emperor Honorius, demonstrating how Rome's armies were falling under the control of foreign-born leaders. When the chieftain Odoacer deposed the last emperor of the West in 476, a large number of Roman soldiers were still on active duty. The traditional Roman soldiers, meaning the citizens trained for legionary service, ceased to exist as a cohesive force following the empire's collapse. Many were formally discharged or simply deserted their posts due to the crisis that was shattering the imperial structures. Without a central government to sustain them, they were forced to find new means of survival. A portion of these soldiers returned to their lands, becoming farmers or artisans. With the state's protection gone, life in Western Europe grew perilous, and many former military men sought to rebuild their lives away from conflict, pursuing a quieter existence in the countryside. The widespread insecurity and the decay of the cities fueled this shift. On the other hand, a significant number of Roman soldiers were absorbed into the armies of the barbarian peoples who had taken control of former Roman territories. They continued to fight, but now under new banners and for new masters. For instance, after the conquest of Gaul by the Franks in 486, many former Roman soldiers began serving under Germanic kings. These men retained their skills and discipline, helping to lay the groundwork for the medieval armies of the future. Many experienced Roman officers were integrated into the barbarian courts, serving as administrators, counselors, and commanders. This administrative continuity was vital for the survival of certain Roman structures, even after the political end of the empire. They helped preserve aspects of Roman culture, law, and military organization, adapting them to the new world of the Germanic kingdoms. However, not all soldiers followed these paths. Some became mercenaries, fighting for the highest bidder, or joined scattered armed bands, which only added to the instability and violence of the period. In addition, the Catholic Church began to recruit former soldiers to protect its properties and lands. This led many of these men to transition from imperial military service to a more local form of defense tied to the Christian faith. Meanwhile, in the Eastern Roman Empire, traditional Roman soldiers remained active for a much longer time. In the West, however, their role was gradually taken over by barbarian forces and military systems that bore little resemblance to the classic Roman legion. Incredibly, though, a few Roman legions managed to exist and continue fighting for centuries after the fall of the Western Empire. One of the most remarkable cases is that of the 5th Macedonian Legion, which has a staggering history. Founded in the 1st century BC, this legion took part in countless decisive battles in Roman history, from the civil wars to campaigns against barbarian tribes. What is astonishing is that historical records suggest the 5th Macedonian Legion was still active in the 7th century AD. This was approximately 700 years after its establishment, and long after the Western Roman Empire had vanished. Archaeological sources indicate this legion was likely one of the last traditional Roman units in existence, before it disappeared during the Arab invasions of the Levant and Egypt. Another example can be found in the troops serving the Byzantine Empire, which viewed itself as the legitimate successor to the Roman Empire. In the East, the legions, though their structures were modified, endured for a long time, defending the borders against Persians, Arabs, and other invaders. The famous Emperor Justinian I, in the 6th century, invested heavily in reorganizing the Eastern Roman army, striving to preserve and renew Rome's military traditions. Despite the dilution of the original Roman identity, the experience and discipline of these soldiers were essential for shaping the medieval armies that followed the Roman Empire. These former soldiers helped organize the forces of the new kingdoms, teaching them how to maintain battle formations, use weapons effectively, and structure troops into units. They also passed down to the medieval world their knowledge of siege warfare, the use of fortifications, and defensive strategies that were vital for protecting cities and territories. Moreover, the Roman codes of conduct and discipline influenced the medieval knights, who adopted oaths, hierarchies, and military values that strongly echoed Roman customs. So, what are your thoughts on this story about the fate of the Roman soldiers? Let us know your opinion in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. I will leave another video suggestion for you to watch right here. We'll see you in the next one.